Hello. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Welcome to my stream. We will be reviewing the Live Together on Peacock. At every commercial, I'll go ahead and we'll talk about the show. Right now, I'm just going to play the first half. If there's music, I'm going to mute it. You'll see. But right now, we'll play it all the way through. But of course, and at each commercial, we'll pause the thing because of copyright, and we want to get the video taken down because of copyright. But right now, it's going to start. Welcome to my channel. My email's there. It's sonjjg25@gmail.com. We're going to review. You can make comments in the thing, and then we can talk about what has happened after each commercial. I'm actually going to be playing it on my phone, so it might look kind of like a smaller screen. And then after that, so just kind of bear with me. But yeah, so we're going to get started now. Give me 1 second. All right, let's see if we can play this now, and we'll get started. If you can see that, put it in the notes, in the comments. Can you see that small screen? Okay. So then, yeah, that was talking about that. And then Andy asks Taylor, will he? Okay. Can everybody hear me? This is interesting. Okay. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Okay. So we just got done with the other half. The people that just came out now was, who was that just came out? That was, okay, so who just came out? Oh, okay. So basically, they came out with was it Alandria? No, that wasn't Alandria. So it was the Casa Amor people that came, right? Out at this point. Casa Amor people at this point. And Austin is single. Andy asked about his body count. He said it was lower, which I don't really care about Austin like that. Most of the people from Casa Amor were saying that they were happy to be at Love Island because, they're bringing people out kind of like in groups. And then let's see what happened. Oh, okay. I lost my train of thought. Okay. So Adrian, Adrian and TJ, um, Adrian and TJ were there. Um, let's see what happened. Zach K was on the video, which is the Chinese kind of Asian guy or whatever. He was on a video kind of like apologizing to Brian, because some posts went online indicating that maybe Brian was there just for money. And he said, yeah, Brian was like, yeah, you need to go handle that. So Brian was kind of a little frustrated with Zach K. I believe that was Zach K. And he was like, yeah, you need to go handle that, because everybody was saying that Zach K was there for the money, because he didn't want to talk to any of the other girls or whatever that meant. He just wanted to talk to all the boys. And then Maya chimed in and said, yeah, it just kind of seemed like Andy asked Zach K, was he the one, when Amaya was given a lot of attention from the world or whatever, she was like the most loved or whatever. Zach K kind of changed his tune and started acting a little different to kind of shift energy towards Amaya or whatever. And then I don't even think I got a picture of him. So yeah, Zach K was like, no, that wasn't the case, and he apologized to Brian and Amaya if he came off the way that he wasn't trying to intend it to be. As far as telling, on social media that Brian was in it for money, when Zach K was really the one that was in it for money. He was telling all the boys, yeah, I don't really want to talk to the girls. He just want the money, basically, in a nutshell. And then they asked, Alandria kind of spoke up and said something about Huda giving in to the bullying narrative, because there's a bully narrative going around with Shelly and Alandria. And then Coco was kind of feeding into the Alandria and Shelly bullying as well. So they actually Andy asked Coco, why was she trying to be shady to Alandria? And she was saying that when Alandria came to Casa Amor, she was kind of being standoffish. Well, we already know why. She didn't really want to probably get to know the other girls, because she was already in a doozy from Taylor's old stinking bud. But anyway, and Alandria was like, yeah, she was a little standoffish, a little bit, because she didn't want to be fake around the new girls, and she just got dumped, right? And then so Coco tried to explain herself a couple times, trying to say that she wasn't feeding into the narrative when she went on to that live stream, or she went on in public talking about, on some podcasts, talking about Alandria, but she was saying good things about Alandria on the podcast. Coco was, but Alandria didn't feel that way. And then Alandria was like, yeah, if you're going to speak about her, you need to speak about her true character and what she actually felt in the villa. That's what Alandria told to Coco. And Alandria was saying that she was feeding into that mean girl narrative, so forth and so on. And then she was trying to ride the hate train. And then she had to explain to her, no, she wasn't Coco was explaining to Alandria that she wasn't trying to ride the hate train, and she wasn't trying to be team shady, and she really wanted her to know that wasn't her intention. And then Alandria was like, well, yeah, you went onto the podcast and told people something that was out of her character. But if we're going to clear it up now, let's not do it in private. Let's do it now. And so that they kind of went back and forth. And then Shelly said something about Vanna. What's that girl name? Vanna, the Caucasian lady who has like the plastic surgery or whatever, Vanna. Yeah, that exactly. Yeah, it's rude how they act. Yes, that is so true. Yeah, it's rude how they act like Sierra was never there. That's true. But they did at the beginning of the session said that um Sierra will not be able to be there because of the, we'll just say, racist stuff that she was saying and she probably didn't know of at the time when she was younger, and now she's older and she's probably learning from it, right? With Sierra. And but then Coco, tried to explain to Elandria, that wasn't the case, this and this and that. And then Shirley called out Vanna because Vanna went on Nick Vile's session and was trying to say something about Elandria was standoffish. Or Shirley and Elandria were standoffish, but they only seen each other for 2 seconds. How are they standoffish, right? So people are just kind of doing a lot of stuff out of the villa than when they were in the villa. So you just really never know who people are until you get outside of the villa. That's how I feel. And then Elandria said that when they kind of was like mumbling and stuff and you can hear their mics, she was saying, yeah, everybody was against her and Shelley, basically in a nutshell. And then Huda was playing into the narrative of the bullying. Because remember in the beginning, I don't know if you guys heard the live that Huda said that she didn't like the way that Chris was being treated on her FYP page. But you can't say that the same thing for Elandria and Shelley? Okay. But anyway, I digress. She can't say the same thing. But anyway, they're probably going to get into that on this next scene we're going to see in a second. And then let me just go back to what they were saying. So that was that. And then they said, so Zach K did apologize to Brian and Amaya. Austin was kind of being weird to Jaden, the girl, right? And she was telling him that she texted him and she was saying that she wanted respect and transparency from Austin, and she never got it. And she was like, if you're going to go out there and do, the bedroom business, then just let her know. And he just was given like, I don't know. And he had this long pause. Everybody was like, well, are you going to say something? And he just was being an airhead and lying. I'm sure he just probably don't want to get a lot of backlash, since a lot of people are getting backlash, but he just couldn't even be honest with the girl, Jaden. And then another girl, I can't remember, from Amor, I think it was Adriana, she kind of backed up Jaden and was like, yeah, she was there at the party, some party they went to, but he needed to be more upfront with her. I think Ace was only upfront with Amaya and Shelley because he didn't want Amaya to touch him as much or something like that. He wanted to have boundaries, basically, in a nutshell. And then Coco was like, yes, Ace was nice. She had a really good experience with Ace, but he needed to actually be honest with her and be blunt and tell her, hey, if you had it in your mind that you like Shelley, just say that you like Shelley. That's what Coco was saying. The other girl, Coco was saying, just telling Ace, if you really, really like Shelley, then tell me that. Be blunt. So that's what they were kind of saying there. That was happening just now. And then now we're getting into the point where Huda is coming into play, right? Huda is coming into play. So we already went past Pepe and Huda writing the note on Stand Your Business challenge, and then Hannah, and then Grayson. Pepe led Grayson on, basically, in a nutshell, and still liked Hannah at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So now we're getting into a serious part where Andy was like, oh, Huda, you didn't find a mate in Casa Amor, or whatever the case may be. But what really happened between you, Shelly, and Chris? Or, the backlash that Shelly was getting because supposedly you brought him back for, her and you, right? So basically, in a nutshell, she was saying, we saw a video of Huda pulling Shelly aside, saying that, she wants to bring, since she doesn't have a connection in the villa of Casa Amor, she wants to bring Chris back because Chris said that he was interested in Huda. But I really think that Chris was interested in Huda because he wants to come back to the villa to kind of get to know Shelly. And that's where the testing of Shelly and Ace's relationship happened, of course. And then, so she was sitting down with Shelly saying, hey, I can bring Chris back and he can be, I'm interested in him. Oh, no, he's interested in me. So I can bring him back and try to explore that connection. And then Shelly was like kind of hesitant in the video. She was hesitant, that she was like, a little bit of hesitant. If you really watch it, that she was like, it sounds like a good idea. We'll see. That's what Shelly was saying. And then, so she brought him back. And then Shelly was like, well, this is how Huda was making it seem to her. She brought him back because Shelly, Shelly, I'm bringing him back because for you. I'm bringing him back for you, Shelly. I'm bringing him back for you, for the both of us. I'm bringing him back for you. So Shelly was hearing that constantly. I'm bringing him back for you. I'm bringing him back for you. And then, but I'll still explore and you can still explore Ace or whatever the case may be. But she kept saying she wanted more time with Chris or Ace or whatever the case may be. But I'm losing my train of thought. But anyway, so Huda brought him back, Chris back for the both of them. That was actually played out on the season finale here, the reunion. And then she was telling Huda that Ace was her number one. She even told Huda that Ace was her number one. She told Huda that Ace was her number one, and she'll try to keep exploring Chris. She just needed a little bit more time to see where that's going. And then Huda needed time too to see, how that would blossom out too. But Shirley kept saying, just be honest, because, you kept telling me that, you're bringing him back for me, for Shelley. You're bringing him back from here. So she needed to be clear on that. And then if you guys would have seen the video here, if you saw it, Zach K was in the back, kind of like yawning on the video, in his white shirt, laying down, like, every time Huda was talking, like trying to do the one word answers and stuff and not really being clear. So anyway, and then Shelly brought up that after everything was all said and done, after the villa, Huda went on the podcast. I forget the lady that she went on to, and was puffing up her chest, talking about she really didn't care. She brought him back she was doing whatever she wanted to do. She was brought Chris back for the both of them. She really didn't care. She was acting nonchalant, and she was putting fuel to the fire on the Stand on Your Business challenge and the heart rate challenge or something like that. So she was putting the fuel to the fire for that one where Shelly got the backlash, right? And so she was telling her that that wasn't cool. And then Huda tried to say, Shelly, just focus on your relationship with Ace here on the reunion. Right now, she was saying, focus on your relationship with Ace. We should, really get over this. This is no. And then Shelly was like, nah, I am focusing on my relationship with Ace, but I'm getting to the point of, hey, you put fuel to the fire, and she got a lot of backlash from the Chris and Huda situation of you bringing him back, making it seem like, oh, you're bringing him back for Shelly. And so she was standing on that, and then they went to break. I think they went to break. Yeah. They were standing on that, and they went to break. So this is a lot. This is a lot. But my whole opinion with the Chris and Shelly thing and Huda, we already know that Huda has a type. We know that Shelly is a girl's girl, but I'm not really sure about Huda. But Chris wanted to stay in specifically because of Shelly. So he kind of made that entrance in, I think, to really get to Shelly, because he wasn't really feeling Huda like that. He just kind of was with her because, oh, this is the girl that's there. So that's how he was able to get in the cracks. He saw some type of leeway to get in with Huda, and she allowed to open that door. But Chris really wanted Shelly, and nobody ain't tell him he didn't. Because Huda was even complaining about, oh, he didn't even, in some of the other videos or some other lives, he wasn't even looking at her when he was talking to Shelly. He just was looking at Shelly only. He didn't even like Huda like that, even though they was unching.
At that point, I got to explore. Yeah, I probably could have made it clear sooner, so that's probably on my side. I'm not scared to admit that.
I'm not going to get into it too much with that session with Hannah and Sierra. So basically what happened, Charlie got dumped at one point in time. It was a hurtful. Amaya voted him off. It was hurtful. They kind of had like something going on. Him and Hannah had a connection. I really didn't watch most of that. But what I did hear Charlie say, which he spoke up and said he should have never went home, which I agree. And he said Taylor should have went home that night because he never liked Olandria. And we're going to stand 10 toes down with Charlie that he never liked Olandria. Just somebody had to say it. Charlie had to get dumped. Pepe, Hannah was crying. It was Bruda. Maya voted him off too. There was no relationship between him and Hannah. I think he mentioned that. But he would have been the easy vote, or Huda would have been he would have been an easy vote, but they should have voted off Taylor. That's what Charlie said. They should have voted off Taylor because he was never interested in Olandria. He should have went that night instead of Charlie. But anyway, I don't really want to get up into it. And then Hannah didn't have any animosity towards, I think, TJ and Iris and their relationship. She's happy for them. Yeah, Adrena, Brian said that Andrena's conversations were boring, which they were. Their conversations were boring. And then, things in the villa change so quickly. So we understand why people have to get dumped. Sometimes I don't understand why they be crying so much, but we understand that, they don't have their phones. They're all seeing each other every day, all day. and it can get emotional around there. So I understand why people are crying or whatever the case may be. But we're going to move on because I really didn't know Charlie like that. I really didn't get into the Hannah, and then Sierra was crying when she was making the choice to send home Hannah, if I'm not mistaken. And Hannah now understands why they did what they did. And I agree with Charlie 10 toes down that Taylor should have went home that night instead of being dragged along with thinking that, letting everybody think that he likes Olandria, which was not the case. And, that bland apology he gave her is just getting on my last nerves. I can't believe he gave her the most bland apology. I'm going to keep going to that because he really needs to get himself a speech coach. I know I'm not really that good at communication either, but I know how to apologize and say what I'm sorry for. He didn't even say what he was sorry for. He just said, "You my dog, and we always gonna be dogs." I just can't get that out of my head. And I know a lot of other people are gonna probably review that and give him backlash for him saying that. But anyway, I digress on that. This really wasn't too much for me with the Iris and TJ thing. Jaden, Amaya, Hannah, and everybody trying to vote off Charlie and Hannah and all that other stuff. So I really wasn't into that. But the biggest takeaway from this one is Charlie said that Taylor should have went home because he never liked Olandria. And then I think somebody mentioned Huda was just, I don't know. I'm trying to get into it, but we're going to go back to the show. Let's hopefully they get down to the nitty gritty, but we'll see. Nitty gritty of it all. And hopefully you guys can hear. I didn't hear nobody put anything in the chat for a while here, but if you can hear, let me know in the chat, if you can hear, because let's get this on. And Charlie did say something that I like Charlie. I do like him, right? But he did say some questionable things about Ace, like, oh, Ace was kind of mentioning certain things about maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that or this and this and that. But anyway, Charlie was saying that maybe he could kind of keep his cards close to his chest because he didn't really trust Ace or something like that. And he was kind of thinking that he could have been the ringleader. I don't know. Amaya, Ace called out Jeremiah for calling him, saying something about him being the ringleader, and he was never the ringleader. And he was like, Ace was like, "Oh, Jeremiah, you're a grown man. Basically, you can make your own choices, you can make your own decisions, and you can speak up for yourself." And that's when Ace was like, "Yeah, everyone is vocal in the villa, but not vocal outside of the villa. So behind closed doors, but this and this and that." But Amaya, you guys, listen to this. This is new information. Amaya was on a podcast. I can't remember which podcast, and they were talking about Ace's height with some other lady. And Ace was really a little frustrated about that. He was like, "Yeah, why would you go on a podcast?" She was like, "Yeah." Amaya was like, "Yes, I already talked to you about that." But he was like, "Look, I want to get this out in the open so people can know. Not that it's going to bring Amaya hate or anything, but this is something that he wants people to know. Like, you can't go onto any podcast and think it's okay to talk about somebody's height, what they look like, and not send mixed emotions to the world. It's just not okay." And then Amaya was like, "Yeah, I'm talking to my team. We're trying to get that video removed about what she said or the lady said about his height or what Amaya said about his height and this and this and that." And he was like, "Yeah, y'all need to just start being honest instead of saying stuff outside of the villa and just say it to my face, And at the end of the day, it looks like America did vote Jeremiah and I think it was Hannah at the end of the day. So everybody voted out the right people. And so, yeah, everybody voted out the right people. And at the end of the day, everybody kind of like squashed that part, right? No apology from Huda yet, but let's get back into it. Let's see what's going on. Let's press play here, and then we'll get back into it. And it's just a long live. I know it's a long live, but this is important information. My whole opinion about what has been going on is just in life, people just have to take responsibility. And I think you'll feel better once you take responsibility for things, right? Just apologize, take responsibility, no matter what islander it is. Like Amaya, she apologized. Like Jeremiah apologized. We just haven't had an apology from you know who. And I'm sure I don't know why they're doing it like this, but I did hear another creator was saying, the reunion might not be what we think it would be. So it might be boring and they might not give us the truth. And the truth is one person had ruined it for everyone, right? We don't want to be too negative on it, but we need to hear an apology, right? So let's get back into it. And I think we'll ride the wave and watch it till the end. And then, yeah, we'll get back into it.
Preaching sisterhood. I don't think personally there was a time.
Somebody put it in the comments. Tell me one time where you think she was being bullied outside of the villa. Okay. I don't know where she's been bullied, because when she got out of the villa, she's been making a lot of excuses. And then Shelly and Alandria have been getting a lot of hate. So Shelly spoke up and was like, yeah, we weren't bullying you. She spoke up to the part where they were in the villa about them sitting on the couch, and she was being territorial towards Iris, being mean to Iris, and telling her, oh, she can't talk to Jeremiah, this and this and that. The way that she was treating Iris was horrible, right? And then I guess she was saying sorry, this and this and that. And then she said no one was on her side, and she kind of felt alone when she didn't want Iris to talk to Jeremiah. So she felt like she was being bullied in that time. Then Alandria spoke up and was like, she was getting a lot of hate. We were really close. With the after the Stand on Business challenge, she was getting a lot of hate because she stood up for, I forgot who she stood up for, but she was standing on the business. And then what else happened? Alandria was saying that they were really close. Outside of the villa, she was hanging out with Nick and Alandria. Huda was hanging out with Nick and Alandria. And she's just trying to figure out, Shelly and Alandria was like, oh, outside of the villa, you were hanging out with Nick and Alandria. And then Shelly even talked to her after the show. But then when she went on the podcast, she threw Alandria and Shelly under the bus. And she was saying that she felt bullied by no names. So she never mentioned anyone's names. And then here we go, the racists and the racist stuff towards Alandria and Shelly was uncalled for. Shelly spoke up and was like, you didn't name anyone, but everybody assumed that it was Shelly and Alandria that was bullying her, because we already know that people didn't like Shelly and Alandria because we already know there's racist stuff going on and people have evil stuff in their hearts, right? But yeah, people have evil stuff in their hearts, but they didn't deserve to get that much hate. And then Shelly even mentioned that before she went to do the podcast, it was like 3 days or something, they was talking to her, telling her that she needs to talk to her fans or her team or her fans, telling them that she shouldn't give hate or whatever. They shouldn't give hate to them because the George Floyd thing, and then Shelly a knuckle sandwich, that's uncalled for. And then Huda said that she would tell them, the fans, to do it because she did an interview and she said she told them. But then she went on to that other lady's podcast, and that's when she was acting nonchalant, like she didn't care. So that's where really did the snowball effect towards Alandria and Shelly, and everybody thinking that it was them two who were bullies, which they weren't. They were poised, and nobody wants the Black women to be poised, but they were. So y'all probably gonna have to get over that part. Not every Black woman or every African American woman loses their cool all the time, right? Sometimes we can be calm. Sometimes people can be upset, yes. And sometimes Huda can be upset, yes. But the racism and the hate is uncalled for either islander. And I'm sure Huda was probably getting death threats too, but we're not sure, because most of the hate was coming towards Alandria and Shelly. Okay, because Huda said that she was feeling bullied before they flew out of Fiji, which was a complete lie. Okay, so Huda was being very contradicting tonight, and I did not like it. Very contradicting. And then Alandria was about to start crying because Huda didn't have her back. She was like, that was hurtful. People were giving her death threats left and right. And this is a show, you guys. These are normal people. Like, that is really uncalled for that she had to go through that. Huda didn't even, this picture shows you right here that she actually doesn't really care. She can make excuses on the reunion all she wants, but I feel deep down in her heart that she was wrong. And she still did not give Jeremiah an apology. I agree. Agreed. She didn't give him an apology. Yeah, she needs to give Jeremiah an apology. This picture tells you that she doesn't care. And she really didn't care about Shelly's and Alandria's feelings, let alone Jeremiah's feelings. The excuses were on top of excuses. I don't know who trained her to talk tonight, but she could have been like, Alandria, I am sorry. She said that. She said, I'm sorry to Shelly, but I don't think she said sorry to Alandria. Maybe we're going to see that in a second. But at the end of the day, it's really sad that Alandria and Shelly had to go through all the death threat stuff. And I'm sure it's not easy. You know, it really isn't easy, but I'm sure she has a, community around her or whatever the case may be. But that's just uncalled for. It really was. And another thing that Alandria and Shelly brought up was that Huda should have addressed this right away on her first podcast that she ever did before she left Fiji. She should have addressed this, because Alandria and Shelly saw the day that her podcast aired is the day that they unfollowed her, because she tried to say that she was being bullied. That's what they just said on the reunion. She didn't even, she addressed it, I think 3 days later or 5 days later or something like that. If she really cared about Alandria and Shelly, yes, Huda was a bigger fan base. But who's getting more of the accolades? Alandria and Shelly. Who's really riding for Huda? Little girls are. That are toxic. That don't want to be in healthy relationships. Yes, people can change. Yes, people can change. But it takes time, like Andy said. Does it take a month of self-reflection? No, it takes longer than that. But I think that the death threats and all of that stuff is not called for any islander. I think that they could have did a better job with putting her feet to the fire. She needs to apologize to Jeremiah. I agree. It needs to happen as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and try to rewatch the end of this because I am up late. Yeah, she really needs to apologize. She needs to say sorry. And hopefully they'll get to this, but I think a lot of people have a lot to say about this. So she needs to say sorry as soon as possible. And who Coco clocked Alangia is. Well, that's not true, babes. They really need. Who was teaming her? I don't think anybody was teaming Huda. They were just. I think they were just tired of dealing with the foolery. But for them to get death threats like they've been getting and trying to, post that stuff about knuckle sandwiches and that's uncalled for. That's uncalled for, and you guys know that that's wrong. This picture right here shows you that she doesn't care.
It's like.
All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is what just happened. Huda apologized to Alandria and Shelly. And she said she doesn't agree that anybody should be getting hate, but then she tried to say that she was getting hate too. I'm not sure what type of hate, but she said she was getting hate, right? She said sorry to Alandria and Alandria. And then what else happened? I'm not sure if I really agree with the way that she said sorry, but I guess she apologized, so it is what it is. They unfollowed her after she did the podcast, Shelly and Alandria. Shelly said that she wishes her well, but she'll never be friends with her, right? She'll wish her well from afar. Alandria said the same thing. They'll wish her well, but she'll never be friends with her. I think she was a little closer to Alandria than Shelly. But Shelly and Alandria are saying that Huda switched up on them after the villa. She switched up. And honestly, I feel like she just has a nonchalant attitude towards a lot of what everybody was trying to tell her or whatever the case may be, but it is what it is. Andy confronted Shelly and asked her about the dance that Huda gave to Ace, and we just saw the video. So basically, she put her ass in his face, and that's another content creator I think mentioned the same thing. I think her name is Jessie Wu. She mentioned the same thing on one of her lives before we even saw the video. Yeah, she probably put her ass in his face, but she licked his area or whatever. And so that was shown. And then Shelly was saying, you claim, you didn't want nobody to touch Jeremiah or do all this stuff to Jeremiah, but you already knew that she wasn't talking to Chris at this time. And if you really, Huda, Shelly said that she knew that Huda wasn't really interested in Ace like that, but she still did what she did because maybe she had some other feelings that, Shelly probably didn't know of. Now, and if she called herself a friend or trying to be a sister in a friendship, she should have never did that. And then Iris, Nick, and Taylor backed Shelly for what Huda did as far as dancing on top of Ace. And everybody was just trying to explain to her, hey, There's boundaries. Yes, it's consensual going to Love Island, but there's boundaries that need to be set. It was taken a little too far, and I just feel like with this thing, with this session, they're just nonchalant. But where are these two at? Can somebody tell me where they are at? Why are they not here? Do they not want to come to a thing, or they're going to do their own interview some other time? I don't know. Anyway, we was trying to figure out where they went. Because they didn't say nothing about it. They just said that Ciara was not in the picture. So they said Ciara was not in the picture. So I'm like, okay, well, if they're not there, then, Janae and Kenny did not show up. Yeah, Janae and Kenny didn't show up. So it is what it is. We already know what happened with that situation. She should have saw the red flags. He wasn't interested in her. You can tell by his body language. Janae, he was not interested. And, Janae and Kenny didn't show up. So, and another thing is Alandria said, no, Shelly was like, yeah, licking his private parts was not okay. And then the person that, when Alandria was doing her closed room door interview, Amaya and Huda was in the background screaming and yelling. It wasn't Ciara. So that's another thing they addressed. And then Chris spoke up for Shelly as well and said, it's not necessarily about what you did when you dance. It's kind of like, it's about what you did when you dance. You already knew that Shelly was into Ace, but you danced and put your ass in his face. Yeah, she put basically her whole coochie in his face. That's all I'm gonna say about it. And so we saw that. And then my opinion is, it was just a lot of excuses from Hilda. We still didn't get a apology to Jeremiah. And I figured that was going to happen because of the way that these industries, the industry is set up. They don't want to bring too much heat to Huda. But the way that she hijacked everyone's TV during that time when she was acting crazy, and most men are like, oh, this is crazy. Everybody was chiming in on the social medias or whatever the case may be. And I feel like she owed Jeremiah an apology, and we did not get that. And I think a lot of people are going to come out today. Today is the 26th now. People are going to come out and be like, hey, where's Jeremiah's apology? Are they going to do a separate interview to this? Or are they going to just brush it off like it never happened? He still didn't get an apology. So we didn't get that. And we got an apology for Alandria and Shelly, which was a plus, but yeah. And then I think she just was nonchalant all the way around. But my final take is, I guess everything panned out the way that it did. I just kind of feel sorry that every Islander kind of now, not that they weren't being honest, but no one's was actually speaking the truth besides Ace, Nick, Charlie, which is the one guy that I was like, oh, I think I like him now because he's speaking the truth. And then Chris was speaking up. And I forget who else was speaking up. But and all in all, we need that apology from Jeremiah. And I figured that we weren't going to get it. We did not get that apology. It sucks, but they just wanted to brush over that. But I did like that Andy stuck to, holding people accountable, but they didn't hold her accountable specifically with giving Jeremiah an apology. So that's how I feel about that. I guess it was cool while it lasted. Do y'all really think that Amaya should have won? They're not exclusive. They're exclusive, her and Brian, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is at this time. But that says it all to me, that right there. Taylor didn't really, Clark didn't really say much, but Taylor was behind, I think, most of the boy stuff, as far as making the final decisions. And we didn't see some of those clips, but I guess that's my final thoughts. I just wish that we would have got the apology that we needed. Not we, but Jeremiah should have gotten the apology that he needed. Just for all African-American men, or just men in general, don't ever let a lady talk to you crazy. I think that everyone should learn how to try to have some type of self-control. But if you can't, maybe just walk away. If you really want to scream, curse, do all of that, maybe just walk away. But I think that was really uncalled for, and he deserves an apology. So hopefully he gets it sooner or later. Maybe she already gave him an apology behind closed doors. We don't know. But that was never addressed. And I'm glad that she did take the stance to apologize to Alandria and Shelly. Overall, it was an okay reunion, but I think this would be my last time reviewing something like this, because, I was having so much trouble trying to stream at the beginning of the day. But now that's it. But I thank you all for watching my live. I'm going to log off now. You all have a great morning, night.